Hey everybody, did you know that you can listen to this podcast other than on YouTube? Yep, I'm on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and many more. Links in the description below.
So much about
What would you say if I turned into all the things you love to hate? And on my way comes crashing through the rotten beams and window panes.
Hey everybody, what is going on? It is episode 28, and like always, I am your host, Dan Brosman. Okay guys, ladies and gentlemen, can we get something out of the way right now? Let's just clear this up right off the bat. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming in to the holiday season, and every year I gotta defend this, and I'm just gonna get it out of the way right here early. Hey man, Die Hard, it is a Christmas movie, okay? It's a Christmas movie. End of story. Okay, so can we get through this holiday season without me having to defend that over and over again? Just listen to this podcast. It's a Christmas movie. Whether you want it to be or not, it happened. It's a Christmas movie. Okay, now that that's over with, guys, I love Die Hard. Come on, it's a Christmas movie. I don't know what happened in my life to where my psyche at some point was like, you know what? This is a Christmas movie. It really is. I don't know. I don't know when that turn happened, but I think it was like late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there. It could have been the mid 2000s. Anyway, I think Timberlake was still in the boy band. Let's put it that way. Hey everybody, what is going on? I hope that you guys are doing great. We are back once again. Boy, I've been busy. I just got, I shouldn't say I just got back. About, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, I was up in Milwaukee at Midwest Gaming Classic. I always want to say the Midwest Media Show. Why the heck did I name my YouTube channel something that was very close to that convention? I don't know. Anyway, what a great time. It was so much fun being back. Just, look, you put a whole bunch of people selling tons of video games in a large room and say, do you want to go? Yeah. And then another room full of free-to-play pinball machines and arcade games. Yeah, I'm in. I mean, are you serious? And then maybe some beer and some alcohol after the convention at night. Yeah, that's just, yeah. I'm in on that, definitely. Who isn't in on that, really? But no, in all seriousness, it was a great convention. The people that put it on do a really good job. I know one of them, I think his name is Dan Lucen. I hope I said his last name right. It's really nice to see that this thing was going to happen. I know there was a little bit of talk, maybe about a month or a month and a half before it was supposed to go off, that maybe this thing wasn't going to happen even ever again, much less this year. So, and the good news is they've already dropped the dates for next year, and they're trying to get more back on the same schedule. So I want to say the dates for the Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee for 2022, if I'm not mistaken, is the weekend of April 29th, 30th, and May 1st. I'm pretty sure on that. Don't quote me on that, but they have it up on their website already, which is excellent. It's kind of a short turnaround, but that's okay. Well, it's about 6 months. Usually it's more in the middle of April. I know this because it's my wife's birthday and my birthday, but so it's always like, hey, hon, how would you like to go to Milwaukee for your birthday? Because it's a gaming convention. And she's not a gamer. It's always a delicate proposition. But anyway, yeah, so I got up there It's a well, technically it's a 3-day convention. They have like the arcade, all the arcade machines and pinball machines open on Friday. You can get tickets for that, but none of the vendors are open. But then on Saturday and Sunday, the whole thing's open. I never go. This is only my second time to Milwaukee for this, but I never go to any of the panels or anything like that. I don't know why. I get so overwhelmed when I go there that I lose track of what's going on, and then before you know it, it's over with, and I'm like, God, I missed so much. So, lesson learned. Hopefully, this coming convention in April and May, I'll be more careful getting to more of the stuff. But it was so much fun. Met up with a lot of other YouTubers, and some of them first time I'd met. I want to say Sean from 8-bit retro. God. 8-bit glitched 71. Might say 79. There's so many different ones out there with the numbers at the end. But then J Love 81 was there. Retro Mikey, Richard W was there. First time I met him, super nice guy. It was the first time I met Sean from 8-bit glitch 79. See, I got it right there. Captain Algebra and Tom and Lacey from Do You Nerd. So it was a good time. Oh my God, it was a good time. And if I'm leaving other people out, I'm really sorry. And you know who you might be, and I love you. Oh, Gary from Rock Solid Gaming, he was there. And Gary doesn't live that far from me, really. He lives in Illinois, and I don't know why we don't see more of each other. Maybe he just doesn't like me. I couldn't imagine why. Damn Brewers fan. Not me, him. But yeah, it was fun. I did buy quite a few games. I don't know if it's the most I've ever bought, but I went heavy in the paint on the Xbox 360 and the PS3. And I think I mentioned that maybe before, that's where I was going to go. But yeah, it just seems like that's the best place to go because the prices for gaming in general at this convention were pretty high. It kind of took a lot of people by surprise. Now, I had been to Mo Game Con about a month and a half before, and that's where I was like kind of, preparing myself because I was like, oh my God, what is this going to be? What are we looking at here? And it wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't nearly as bad as it was going to be. So then I would kind of let my guard down a little bit. I'm like, okay, not going to be too bad. And then I got to Midwest Gaming Classic, and I was like, wow. I'm like, don't get me wrong. There were deals to be had. And I'm not saying everything was overpriced or anything, but it was high. The prices were high. I know there was, I love the 360. Well, I love the 360, but the 3DO. And I have two of the consoles. I have the Gold Star, and then I have the second one that Panasonic came up with the spring top cover on it. And I've always wanted the original Panasonic one that has the automatic tray. And they had some there, and man, were they expensive. And they were in the box, but the one guy quoted me like $450, the 500, and then I was like, wow, that's expensive. And I went to another guy, like, I don't know, 20 minutes later, had one in a box, and and it was, I think he said there was $500 to $700 or something like that, or $500 to $600, and I was like, no. Look, everything's relative. Whatever you want to pay for that stuff, is whatever. I guess that's whatever the market is. But I've always felt that, this hobby, it has a little bit different of a thing than maybe other hobbies, because this is electronics here. And when you're talking about like the actual hardware, I'm always super iffy on what I'm going to pay, especially depending on like how old the system is. Now, if you're talking about a 30-year-old system, a 20 or 30-year-old system, hey man, I got news for you. You ain't getting the money out of me. I mean, if I knew how to fix these systems, that may be one thing. But if I don't know how to fix these things, and I don't know if this works, and these guys want to sell you this stuff, and you're just like, okay, well, I don't have a way to test this right now, and you're wanting me to spend, $500 on a piece of electronics that's old and known for failure, because that, just like the first model of the Sega CD player that had the automatic tray, this 3DO, the Panasonic 3DO, the original one, had that automatic tray. That's known for, crap in the bed. So yeah, I was just like, I felt bad because the first guy that I talked to about it, the seller, when he said that, I think I kind of made a reaction that maybe I should use the inside voice a little bit more. I did feel bad walking away. And I'm like, man, I hope I didn't seem like a jackass just then. But, damn, your prices be high, buddy. They were high. All your stuff. Well, so anyway, yeah, I bought some stuff. There was a company there, and I'm not going to tell you what exactly I got as far as specifics, because I am currently still working on my pickups video on the YouTube channel, and, going to throw it up on the tubes. And, but there was a company there, kind of like, you have all these small companies now that are kind of like limited run games that will take, digital games that only had a digital release, or maybe, work with developers that may not had the end to get a physical release, but then they do a very small run of them. And I bought about 3 Nintendo Switch games from these guys, and they're pretty good. There's one that's like, I don't know about this. But none of them are bad. But 2 of them, one's really good and the other one's good. And then one of them's like, yeah, it's okay. So, but I love collecting that stuff. And I love playing those games because that's cool stuff right there. I bought a Famicom game. I never know which ones to buy that you need. Which ones are okay where I'm not going to need to know how to read, I was going to say Spanish, but Japanese. So that's always kind of a thing, that those imports. But I actually, Gary from Rock Solid helped me out on that. And, yeah, I'm trying to think. That was pretty much it. Spend a lot of time with the other YouTubers. Man, we went to a really cool place, and I had never heard of it. And I guess it's been there for a while in Milwaukee, but it was called the Safe House. And this place was really cool. And it's like a speakeasy. And if you don't know what a speakeasy is, in the 20s, when there was prohibition, when the country was not allowing alcohol consumption, clubs that were in secret, that, you had to go in there kind of secret, so, it didn't get busted up by the police, was, serving alcohol. And that's what this place was modeled after. And you would go in and you would have to say a code word to get in. And if you didn't know the code word, then you would have to do something. The guy at the door would make you do something. But then when he was letting you in this room that you were waiting in, like the bookshelves would fall back, and then there was another like a dimly lit hallway made of brick that you would walk down, and then you were in the bar in the restaurant. So that was pretty cool. The food was just okay. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. You're probably just going there for the atmosphere, totally. But it was really cool. Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to go back. I don't know how many people are going back because, some of these people are really, it's really a big trip for them, flying. Some of them have like an 8-hour drive. So, unfortunately, I think in the next one in spring, we're going to lose some of these people not coming out. But, I hope to see a lot of them there. I know it would probably be a hard sell for me to go to anything further away than the ones that I already go to around here. But, it is what it is. Just leaving, especially if I got to fly out or whatever, and I'd probably have to take an extra day off of work, and then, the money thing with the wife. So, hey, y'all know how that is. You got to be reasonable, I'll take my Midwest Gaming Classic at Mo Game Con, so I'm good with that. Okay, anyway, what are we talking about here? We're going to talk about Grand Theft Auto, that remaster trilogy that just came out, and it's breaking my heart, man. I was really looking forward to this. And it's not like I don't have these games already, the original games, but it's having a rocky start here, the release. And we're going to talk about possibly a remake of the movie Roadhouse. Yes, everybody was hoping, and looks like we may get it. So, yeah, nobody was waiting for this, but we're going to talk about it because it kind of has my interest. The Nintendo 64. We're going to show this console some love tonight, and maybe more into the future too here. I want to get into that because lately the Nintendo 64 has been getting kind of thrown out there in the news for good and bad, and actually probably more bad than good, but we're going to talk about that and kind of my thoughts on all of that because, everyone wants to know that. And we're going to talk about, some other things here too. Just kind of on the end, some odd and end, smaller stuff. But, well, actually, you know what? Let's just talk about that right now because, Knights of the Old Republic, which I love. And I'm not an RPG guy by any stretch of the imagination. And then it's getting a release on limited run games. I don't think it's getting released on the PlayStation, but it is getting released on PC and the Switch. So, and that is Friday, November 19th. So this Friday. Yeah, I was going to say I'm not sure if I'm going to pick that up. I'm going to pick it up. Of course I'm going to pick it up. It's Star Wars. It's a game I like, and it's being released on the Switch. I mean, that's a hat trick right there. I'm going to pick that up. But I thought it was really weird that it only seemed like it was coming out on the Switch and PC. So whatever. I have played it on the PC. Originally, that's what I played it on back in the day. Both of them. Second one wasn't all that great, but the first one was really good. All right, guys. So, sometimes things get announced, games and new games or re-release games that have been remastered or going to be remastered, and I get excited because it's like, yes, there's nothing like some of the games that you really loved on a earlier console that get a little bit of attention, a little bit more special loving, and get that bump up in graphics and sound, and you're just like, hell yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I already have it, but why buy it once when I can buy it twice? And it looks better, it sounds better, and that in theory sounds great, but it doesn't always work out. And that seems to be what's going on here with this Grand Theft Auto Remastered trilogy here. And if you didn't listen, I think we talked about it in my last episode. But if, you've been living under a rock, basically this is, I want to say GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. And I played all of them. I have all of them on the PS2 here. And they're great games, all of them. But it seems like whatever they did to these games, as far as the remasters go, is no bueno. And this isn't firsthand, but the videos, like the Modern Vintage Gamer dropped this video and just broke my heart because I was really looking forward to picking this thing up. And he's just like, you know, in that accent, righto, so this is not good. Or yeah, that's my accent. I don't know, where is he from? Is he from Australia or England? I don't know. I'm probably way up. I'm probably not sounding very good here as far as, you know, being politically correct. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, but what he is saying is that GTA, the remastered, sucks. And there's bugs, there's frame rate issues, especially on the Nintendo Switch. And there's this thing with the rain. And if you watch his video, because, you know, look, I'm not going to give you that great of an in-depth look at this. But if you're really curious, take a look at his video that he does on it, because it's really... It does break your heart, because if you were really looking forward to this and you're looking at it, because sometimes you're like, well, that's just your opinion, but you look at this video and it's like, God, I'm like, look, come on, guys, I never understand how something like this cannot work out, especially when no one's expecting it in the first place. So you have all the time in the world to figure out how to get this stuff to look good. But then they half-ass it and they release this stuff and it sucks. I don't get it. In this day and age, with the internet and everybody being able to get their hands on this and the word getting out so fast, why do you put yourself in that position? I don't get it. Just look, no one knew this was coming out. You know, this hasn't been news for a while, okay? No one knew. This is recent news. At least as far as I knew, and I'm into gaming here. I'm balls deep. So I didn't know this was coming out necessarily that early. That being said, so why not just take your time? Okay? These games should run beautifully on these newer systems, seeing as though they were on lesser systems before. And I know that may be an oversimplification of the problem here, but I mean, look, I don't know, you know, how to do that. But this is what you guys do, right? And I believe this was Rockstar re-releasing these. So, Rockstar, what are you doing? You know, I mean, what have you been doing? Because everyone's been waiting for that next, you know, GTA 6 that hasn't shown up in, like, forever. And all you've been doing has been porting the GTA 5 from console to console to console. Now, if you can figure that out, why couldn't you figure out how to get 3, 4, and San Andreas ported to upper consoles? I would think by now you're a pro at doing this, right? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. Well, I guess that's really all there is to say about that. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like it's any good. And hey, you know, and then now you have people saying, well, you know, maybe they'll just release a patch in another month and it'll fix all this. And it's like, damn it, man. Didn't we already talk about this last episode? No more with the patches. Make it good the first time around. Or don't release it. Because at least then you're going to have good word of mouth and more people are going to want to buy it. Now, you know, everybody gets an early copy of it and no one, it's bad word of mouth. And that's the other thing too. I guess they didn't hand out early review copies like they normally do. And, you know, everyone was already like, you know, that's a telltale sign that they knew that this wasn't good. And it's like, well, then why did you release it, guys? That's what drives me nuts with this stuff. Why did you release it then? I try not to be negative on this channel, but damn it, guys, you broke my heart. All right, that's enough of that. We got more important things to talk about. when I say more important things, of course, I am talking about the Roadhouse remake. And if you don't know what Roadhouse is, oh my God. It is the dude movie of the 80s. And, and when I say that, I don't know how many of you are around my age or were around the time of the 80s, but those of you that were know exactly what I'm feeling right now. So basically, this was just a regular action guy movie from the 80s, and it revolved around a character named Dalton that was played by Patrick Swayze, and he was a cooler. He wasn't a bouncer in a bar, but he was a cooler. He was like this really famous cooler that was known from going to bars and clubs and like making like problem bars that had a lot of problems with fights and all that, getting rowdy, and reining them in and making them a great place to go. But with all that comes like this macho like bare-fisted brawling and Patrick Swayze just looking good, and of course him getting the really hot girl in it, and there being that just over-the-top bad guy that's just like crazy, like who would ever be like this? I mean, really. But they're talking about doing a remake. Now, this isn't the first time. It was like 2 or 3 years ago. I don't even know if it was that long ago, but it was fairly recent that they were talking about doing a remake. And that one was going to be where Ronda Rousey, the woman MMA fighter, was going to be the main character in that. And look, this has nothing to do with her being a woman. It has everything to do with her being Ronda Rousey, and I've seen her acting. It's not good. And look, clearly, and if you know Roadhouse, you know that, you don't have to be a great actor to be in Roadhouse. But still, let's not, get bottom of the barrel here. I mean, because Rhonda, I'm sorry, girlfriend, but your acting chops are not good. Love you as a fighter, love you as a wrestler. Yeah, not so much as an actress. I'm sorry, girl. I gotta get some coffee here. So yeah, I mean, okay. So Ronda Rousey is gonna be in that one, but now things have kind of changed. Like that trailed off. It trailed off a little bit, and now it's been about a year or two since we've heard anything. And evidently, they're I don't know what reason they're bent on doing a remake of this movie, but Jake Gyllenhaal has been tied to this thing now, and I love Jake. I do. He's one of my favorite actors. Not the greatest actor ever, but I like Jake. I like a lot of the movies he's been in. And it's been him and the director Doug Liman. And if you're not familiar with stuff that he's directed in the past, he's got a little bit of a good list going here. Some of the better ones are Swingers, The Bourne Identity, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. To name a few, I'm trying to think about I love Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I didn't think it was the best movie ever, but I like the premise of it. Yeah, so it gets a little bit more interesting. Is this going to happen? I don't know. I mean, they were talking about it with Ronda Rousey, but that was with Ronda Rousey. This has a little bit bigger names attached to it, so maybe they really do want to do this. I don't know. I mean, it obviously is going to lose something in the translation here, going from what it was back then to now. So, I mean, and you guys know, I am not a fan of doing reboots or remakes or whatever. But, I don't have like a dying like love for this movie. I do really like Roadhouse, and when I'm flipping through the channels, if it's on, I'm gonna stick with it. I mean, unless it's they're cutting the hell out of it and they're bleeping everything out, then it's like, okay, no thank you. But with this movie, yeah, if they make a crappy remake of it, yeah, I don't care. I'll just go back and watch Patrick Swayze kick some ass. And Sam Elliott played his buddy in it as Wade Garrett in the original one. And if you know who Sam Elliott is, I mean, the dude has had the same mustache, the same ombre mustache for like the last 40 years, which is fantastic. I love Sam Elliott. And the dude's still rocking it today. He's still out there doing westerns. I mean, why not? He's got that southern drawl and that big, Yosemite Sam mustache. I mean, come on. Who doesn't like, I was going to say Wade Garrett. Who doesn't like Sam Elliott? Everybody loves Sam Elliott. Well, the last time we talked, people were a little miffed about some things that Nintendo was going to be doing online, namely their Nintendo's expansion, Nintendo Online expansion, which for those of you playing at home was the increase in price to have an Animal Crossing updates, N64 games, and a pack of Sega Genesis games, which really begged the question, who's really asking for any of that except for the Animal Crossing stuff? And I think, for the most part, that's with that expansion, that's where your money was really at, was, the people that really got into Animal Crossing, which is fine. I haven't, but I've played the game on earlier consoles, and I could definitely see the rabbit hole you could go down with that. So, but people were talking about the N64. They were saying, hey, how good is this emulation going to be? Well, we found out, and now this isn't me. I don't have any firsthand knowledge, because even if this was good, for the price, and I already have all these games, it would not be worth it anyway to me. But yeah, N64 just, I guess, from what I've seen, is just not good as far as the emulation. And that's another thing, man. It's another question of why you would release this if it was questionable. Because how many of these companies just say, you know what, good enough, release it? You forget that these companies aren't out there to make the best product ever sometimes. A lot of times, probably. They're out there to make money. They're big corporations, and, they don't really have your best interest in mind necessarily. They want to do the least amount of work that's going to get it good enough that's okay with you. Now, maybe I'm a little wrong on that, and, there are some of these companies that want to put out a great product for you, but I wouldn't be shocked if that's not the case. And, Nintendo, with this lacking 64 emulator stuff, it surprises me on, look, this is your system, okay? This is your sweetheart right here. Why would you release this and make it look bad? And it doesn't necessarily look bad, but the lag is bad, and just the fogging effect for a lot of it. And look, and this is something I want to get into now, and this is going to be a bigger part of this segment here. The emulation for the 64 is notoriously been a rocky road from beginning to right now. Okay. And from what I understand, it's just the way that the Nintendo 64, the architecture of it on the inside just makes it very hard for people to actually nail down a solid, emulator that's going to be like let's say as good as like an NES or Super Nintendo, It's just very hard. I'm sorry, guys. I got to take another drink here. But that being said, it's not like there isn't any emulators out there that aren't pretty decent. I don't think anything's 100%. I mean, you have, there's been emulators around like, I'm trying to think what some of their names are here. I got it written down. Oh yeah, the Muppin 64 Plus. I hope I'm saying that right, and that's the one I recognize. And then Project 64, and especially the Muppin 64. That's supposedly, or Muppin, I don't know. I know that has been fairly decent emulator. Okay. But for Nintendo to release this and not even on that quality is a real problem. I mean, you're asking people to buy into this extra expansion pack, and what you're offering isn't even quality. I mean, the quantity wasn't even there to make it a quality buy, even if the 64 stuff was working good. Now it's really not a quality buy. So, and this has been something with me in my collecting for the 64. It's been a rocky road too. It's been a really slow. I mean, I had like 1 year where I just went on a tear, and I was like 64. But that kind of took off too. That became very collectible. And I don't know, because I haven't really been looking for 64 games lately. I don't know if that's still the case. Anyway, but with my collecting, I've been kind of waiting to see like what's going on, because getting the 64 to look good on your newer televisions is always kind of an issue here. And yes, I know there's going to be people out there who it's like, well, Dan, why don't you just hook it up to a CRT TV? Well, because I don't do CRT TVs, okay? I just don't. I don't do CRT TVs. I do the new stuff, okay? So it's got to work with that. And, there's been adapters out there and, varying degrees of kind of okayness. And really the biggest thing, that makes them look decent and good on your new TVs are HDMI mods. And the first one to come out was Ultra HDMI, and that was good, but it was expensive and it was never in stock. And then you had to find someone to put it in, and the whole thing cost you a lot of money. And now there's the company Pixel FX that just started making their own, and I believe it's called the Ultra 64. And I got to be honest with you, I am really thinking about in 2022 getting that, because I've been hemming and hawing for the last, it feels like 2 or 3 years now. Because Hyperkin made that announcement that, hey, we're working on this. Well, they didn't even come out with an announcement, I don't think. It was just kind of like this rumored thing, but they are working on it. I would think it was like the N64 Ultra or something, supposedly. And it was going to be a clone system that was going to play your actual physical cartridges, but it was going to be like an emulation machine. It's going to be like whatever else they produce for any other system. And even though I was like, well, how good is it really going to be? There was that big part of me that's like, well, let's just stick it out and wait. Because do you want to spend $400 on getting your N64 modded? I mean, that's a huge chunk of change. And then maybe this thing that Hyperkin comes out with is going to be okay. Is going to be good enough, right? Because chances are it's not going to be great. That's just not what Hyperkin does. I mean, nothing against Hyperkin, but I mean, good enough is usually where they're at with me on a lot of their products. And if you've bought from Hyperkin, y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting and nothing. And I've kind of been waiting for this emulation to get better or whatever. And it doesn't seem like it's getting there. And at what point are people going to be like, you know what? Fuck it. We're not even going to deal with N64 anymore. Fuck it. You know, it's got a bad name anyway. The games don't age well. Yada, yada, yada. So I kind of already made the decision that I think I'm going to go with the mod this year, the HDMI mod for one of my N64s. And you know, finally, I mean, I'd like to say this is the snap decision, but it wasn't. I've been mulling over this thing for 3 years. Now the only thing is I gotta be able to actually get my hands on the mod, to have somebody do it for me. And getting my hands on an actual Ultra, was it N64 Ultra, might be a little difficult. But I've waited this long, so who cares? But, you know, I want to give it some love. I really, I see the N64 sitting there on my TV. It's hooked up. You know, I played through the Retro Tink Pro, and it's okay. It's okay. You know, I don't feel lag. It looks okay. But I really want to do that HDMI mod. And you know, what was it? That Ion a couple years ago came out with that adapter where you could plug in an HDMI port, and it's like the S video signal that you can get off the N64, and it's okay. I've seen side by sides at a convention. You know, hey, this is what it looks like with and looks like without. Now, for me, and that was $100. I think that was what? Was that $120 or $150? $150, and I'm thinking, if I can't look at for $150, I got to be able to look at a side by side and be like, oh yeah, okay, I could see that. If I have to look at it and be like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe. It's like, no. If I gotta really like look at it and be okay, yeah, okay, I see it. I want to look at it and be like, yes, big difference. And that's not what you're getting for $150. So it's just, you know, it's just not worth it to me. So I don't know. And another thing that I'm really thinking about investing in this year, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but especially with my 64, is I want to get an EverDrive. You know, these cartridges, I want to keep them as pristine as possible. You know, and I'm just getting more anal. Okay, maybe I shouldn't use that word, but I'm getting more, I don't know, you know what I'm saying, more touchy about what I do with my stuff here as far as a collector goes. You know, and yeah, I don't know. So, going for, you know, my luck is I will spend the money on this mod. I'll get it in for like a month. I'll be super happy with it. And then about a month after I get it, after I spent all that money, Hyperkin will come out with their thing, and it'll be great. And it'll be for like, you know, like $150 or something. Because, you know, that's my luck. And you know what? That's what the universe is waiting for ultimately. The universe is waiting. They're saying, we're going to wait for Dan to actually spend a bunch of money, and then we're going to have something else come out that's going to be just as good, but for a lot less. Wonk, wonk. So I kind of threw this on at the end here. I kind of wanted to throw it out there and see what maybe some other people would kind of think about this. You know, along with collecting, and, you know, if you're another person that buys older games, you know, the headaches that come with, you know, getting a game that comes in a case that's not all that great. And even if the case is in good shape, you know, getting stickers off, or just, you know, a lot of people don't take care of their games nearly as much as like maybe we do. You know, you can tell, like on my shelves, when you pull out certain games, you could tell the ones that I had from when I was a kid, because I took care of all my stuff, and maybe the ones that I've collected over the years, which right now are a majority of them. So my question is, and I've already done this with my PlayStation, my original PlayStation collection, is it a collecting no-no to buy like a 100 count case of new game cases and swap out the original game cases for new games? Because I had to do this I had to buy a case for my PlayStation games, because when I would buy them, a lot of times, you know, it's that hard plastic, those CD cases, they would just crumble. So I didn't really have a choice in that, and then I liked the way that those looked so much when I got done replacing them that I just did it with just about all of my collection. I mean, the ones that really needed them. But now that I'm collecting more for PS, 3 and Xbox 360, a lot of, especially the PlayStation 3 games, the cases come like really messed up a lot of times. I don't know what it is with the PS3, but it just seems with them, like the more I come across them, they just seem like they take more of a beating. And I go online and I'm like, dude, I just want to get like 100 count box of this stuff and just make everything look so pretty, because it's just, I love what it did to my PlayStation game collection. I mean, it's just, you walk up there and everything's so nice and neat. And not that my rest of the stuff isn't nice and neat, but there's just something about having new cases. And I'm looking at it going, no, I don't want to. I mean, I don't have to. I can just get a box of these and, have it be, just for the ones that are just really beat up and bad. But then I want to do the rest of them too. And I know usually I don't care what other people think, and I don't know that I really care that what people think anyway, but I'm kind of curious, because I'm like, well, should I be doing this? Is this a faux pas? What do other people think? Do you guys think that's a no-no? Like, you shouldn't do that. That's just not the original game. Or do you not care? Because I'm gonna keep everything else. I'm gonna keep the art that's inside, assuming that it's okay. And the game and in the manual, everything, as far as that goes, is going to be the same. It's just the case, because I already make my own cases for my cartridge games. Now, of course, a lot of them I don't buy them in cases anyway. I buy them loose, all my cartridges, and I like making the cases for them. I think it makes everything look a lot nicer on the shelves, but you're talking about most of those are already coming loose. What I'm talking about is taking stuff that's already in cases and replacing those cases. I don't know. Little something to look at. I'm going to do it probably no matter what anybody says. But I figured see people, if this really stirs the pot out there and gets people angry. All right, guys. Well, I think that's where I'm gonna pull the pin. I'm gonna pull the pin right here. I'm gonna pull the pin, throw the grenade back, and this just end it right here, because man, my mouth is dry. I must have been doing a lot of talking today, or I must have slept with my mouth open last night. Boy, that is an attractive thought in my head. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed the show. I think we had some good topics. Kind of went off the rails there at the end just a little bit, but hey, whatever. And when I come back in the next episode, maybe I'm gonna have a whole bunch of anger comments here about how it's like, no, you shouldn't have changed those cases. And then I'm gonna come back and I'm like, but I'm gonna do it anyway. All right, guys. Well, that's it for me. Until next time, take care, guys. Good night and goodbye.